The door to the cabin slammed open so violently that the hinges creaked in protest. Karen stormed inside, her eyes wide with an almost manic energy. "This place belongs to the HOA now," she declared, her voice grating with authority. I didn't even flinch. I was sitting at the small rustic table, savoring my morning coffee, the kind of peace only a lake cabin could offer. Karen's red face and the sweat dripping from her temples were a stark contrast to the calm of the room. Her clenched fists held a crumpled paper that looked like it had been through a storm. "Pack your things," she ordered, her tone shrill. "Your little vacation is over. The board has decided that this cabin isn't fit for you. We'll be listing it for community use." I didn't even look up. I didn't have to. I knew who I was dealing with. She thought she could scare me into submission. The man sitting across from me, an unassuming figure with glasses and a calm demeanor, raised an eyebrow but said nothing. He watched, unperturbed, as Karen ranted like a bull in a china shop. She was so caught up in her own fury that she didn't even notice him. "You think you can just sit here?" Karen shrieked, slapping the crumpled paper onto the table. "The HOA says you can't stay overnight without their approval. Don't bother calling anyone. The law's on my side." The man across from me adjusted his glasses and spoke in a voice that held an unnerving calm. "On your side?" Karen, who hadn't even registered his presence until now, stopped mid-sentence. Her eyes narrowed, finally noticing the man she had completely underestimated. "Who the hell are you?" she sneered. "Another trespasser?" The corner of my mouth twitched into a smile, a quiet amusement bubbling up. "Careful with your words," I said, my voice even. "You're about to evict me in front of the state attorney general." For a split second, Karen's face drained of color. Her gaze flickered between me and the man who was now the center of her attention. The silence stretched between us almost painfully. It felt good. Karen's pride cracked first. The forced smile she gave me could have been described as the kind of smile people wear when they know they're in deep trouble, but are still too proud to back down. "The Attorney General, huh?" she scoffed, trying to regain control. "Well, I was just here to, check on the safety of the property. Show rules, you know? We care about the community." She laughed, but it sounded hollow, a nervous chuckle that echoed in the small cabin. It was grating. The Attorney General didn't react. He leaned forward slowly, his fingers tapping the table once, twice. The air around him seemed to thicken. "So, you came onto private property," he said, each word deliberate, "waving a falsified document?" Karen's nervous smile faltered. "Falsified?" she stammered, her voice rising in disbelief. "This is official." She thrust the paper toward him, but the edges were jagged, the HOA letterhead smeared, and the quality of the paper itself looked like it had been printed from a home office printer. It was embarrassing. I stood up, crossing my arms as I did. "You taped that same notice to my door last week," I reminded her. "The one about my non-approved mailbox?" The Attorney General scanned the document, then let out a dry, dangerous chuckle. "This seal," he said, pointing with his finger, "was discontinued in 2008. That means this isn't just fake. It's criminal." Karen's face turned pale. "You don't understand," she mumbled, clutching the paper like a lifeline. "I was told to do this. The HOA president, he said if I didn't get rid of him, I'd lose my spot on the board." The Attorney General leaned forward. "So you were instructed to trespass, impersonate authority, and harass a property owner? That's not just HOA business. That's fraud. It's possibly conspiracy." For the first time, Karen faltered. Her smug bravado was cracking under the weight of her own lies. No, I didn't make this up. The HOA president told me to do this. He promised I'd keep my place on the board if I handled it." There was a shift in the air. The Attorney General's eyes narrowed, but there was something more, a realization. "He told you to push him out?" He glanced at me, his tone colder now. "Who is this president?" Karen's voice was almost pleading now. "I didn't come up with this myself." "He's powerful!" "He's got people in the county office. No one will ever question him. He said people like him," she looked at me now with disdain, "don't deserve to own lakefront property." The Attorney General didn't speak for a moment. He just stared at Karen, his face unreadable. That's when it hit me. This wasn't just about her being a power-hungry neighbor. This was about something much bigger. Someone much more dangerous was pulling her strings. I stepped closer, my voice calm but forceful. This isn't about the cabin, is it? This is about forcing certain people out of the area. People who don't fit their idea of perfect. Karen went quiet. Her eyes shifted between me and the Attorney General, and for a moment I could see the fear creep into her eyes. She realized I had just connected the dots, but before the Attorney General could speak again, the door creaked open. This time it wasn't Karen barging in. The voice that followed was deep, commanding. "Karen, what's taking so long?" Karen's body stiffened, her face pale. She looked toward the door, eyes wide. A tall man in an expensive suit stepped inside, brushing dust from his shoes. His presence filled the room immediately. Confidence radiated from him, the kind that came with power and wealth. The Attorney General stiffened, his posture suddenly more alert. The man's gaze fell on me first, then on Karen, and finally his eyes locked onto the Attorney General. His smirk flickered for a moment, but he quickly regained his composure. Well, he said, voice dripping with arrogance. "This is unexpected." Karen scrambled to explain herself, her words tumbling out in a frantic rush. "Mr. Lawson, sir, I was just handling it like you said, but he's got the Attorney General here and—" "Enough!" Lawson snapped, cutting her off with a sharp wave of his hand. "You were supposed to keep things quiet, Karen, not turn it into a circus." The Attorney General finally spoke, his voice low but cutting. "Mr. Lawson, I presume." "President of this HOA?" Lawson's smirk didn't falter. "Titles don't matter here," he said coldly. "What matters is that this land, this cabin, is something the board intends to regulate. And you," he pointed at me dismissively, "are in the way." I felt the heat rise in my chest, but I didn't let it show. "Funny," I said, my voice laced with sarcasm. "Last I checked, this land had been in my family for 3 generations. You don't regulate family history." For the first time, Lawson's mask slipped. His jaw tightened. "History doesn't matter," he hissed, his voice low. "Power does." The Attorney General didn't flinch. His voice came out like steel, cold and unyielding. "Then you're about to learn what real power looks like." The room was tense, like a moment before a storm. Even Karen, who had been so bold earlier, was now holding her breath. But Lawson wasn't backing down. He leaned closer, his voice dripping with disdain. "You think your title scares me?" he sneered. "I deal in land deals, zoning permits, judges' dinner tables. Out here, my word carries more weight than yours?" Karen's eyes widened as she processed the exchange. She hadn't expected him to challenge the Attorney General so directly, but Lawson wasn't bluffing. His calm confidence was unsettling. The way he spoke. He truly believed he could manipulate the system, buy off anyone. The Attorney General didn't blink. Instead, he leaned forward, his gaze locked on Lawson with unflinching determination. "You may hold power in some circles, Lawson, but out here, there are others who still believe in the law." And just as Lawson took a step closer to the Attorney General, 2 large men appeared on the porch. They weren't in suits or uniforms. They were just plainclothes enforcers, their bodies massive, their presence menacing. One cracked his knuckles slowly. The other stood perfectly still, his eyes scanning the room like a hawk. Karen's voice trembled. You brought them here?" Lawson didn't even look at her. "You wanted this handled, didn't you?" he said, the words casual, as if he were talking about a business deal. "Well, this is how things get handled." I could feel the tension thickening.